A moment when the future of the India-China relationship, the current deadlock between the Indian and the Chinese armies all along the line of actual control is being decided in this crucial meeting. We've had former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh come out and attack Narendra Modi, the current Prime Minister. I mean, the former Prime Minister's record when it comes to either Pakistan or China is far from stellar. Suddenly he's arguing for a tougher response and saying that we must be very careful about what we do and how we proceed. After the Mumbai attacks happened, 166 Indians died. Manmohan Singh on his watch did nothing. Is this not a time when the Congress and everybody else, including the former Prime Minister, just back down, say, okay, let these meetings resolve themselves. There's a time for protestation. We will do politics later. Pawan Khera, kickstart our debate tonight.
Rahul Kanwal, two aspects to your question. Number one, Mr. Manmohan Singh's performance as Prime Minister as far as border incursions were concerned, according to you, were not stellar. Mr. Nadda says that there were 600 incursions during our time. Conceded? Under their watch, since 2015, 2,264 incursions from the Chinese side, 3,289 ceasefire violations by Pakistan. Up by 16 years as far as Pakistan is concerned. Highest in 30 years has been the shahadat of our forces. So Mr. Nadda has no business even comparing the two things. Now you say, this is not the right time for the former Prime Minister to give some sane advice to the current Prime Minister. Fine. I ask you, in 2013, when Mr. Lal Krishan Advani, Madam Sushma Swaraj and Mr. Arun Jaitley used to take delegations to Pranab Mukherjee Sahab, demanding on public platforms, on television channels, "Aap kya hatiyar istemal karenge Cheen ke khilaf?" Is that information to be shared on public platforms? But they would come on channels and say, "Arey, there is tension on the border. What is the kind of equipment you have? Please share with us." Nobody questioned them, and we definitely didn't call them Chinese agents. Fair enough, that's their style. Atalji in 1962 used to hold demonstrations, protests outside the parliament, at boat club, in the middle of action. But that's the kind of politics a democracy should have, where we as opposition parties and you as media, obviously we have to question every political party, every government. Nothing wrong in that. If
okay, let Amit Malviya respond.
You won't forgive us tomorrow.
Your principal argument is that when the BJP was in the opposition and the Chinese had intruded on Indian soil, the BJP too asked tough searching questions that doesn't make the BJP at that time a Chinese agent, and therefore doesn't make the Congress today a Chinese agent just because they're asking questions which you're finding difficult to answer. Amit Malviya will counter.
Well, Rahul, first of all, I was quite amused to see Dr. Manmohan Singh's letter this morning, assuming he was somebody who could not even assert himself within his own party. And we had a situation where Rahul Gandhi tore an ordinance that his government passed in public and humiliated the Prime Minister. For someone like him to come out and advise the current Prime Minister, I thought was rich. Let alone his track record as far as Pakistan and China are concerned. It's best not spoken, because India suffered in the 10 years that he was the Prime Minister. Well, now come to the more substantive issues on hand. What's happening in Ladakh at the moment? There was confrontation in the Galwan Valley, and the Indian troops have very successfully pushed back the Chinese. The fact is that we've inflicted far more damage on them than they could manage. Then the Congress conveniently tried to shift the goalpost to the Pyeongtaek area, which, as we all know, is not an issue that has been festering over the last 6 months, or even for that matter last 6 years. It has been an issue that's been around for 21 years, and the Congress has presided over the Chinese incursion, gradual as it may be, but the finger 8 and finger 4, the area between that, the infrastructure that came up within the Congress period, and the Congress really did nothing about it. What is the Modi government talking about today? It is telling the Chinese that get off Galwan Valley, get off PP14, they have been pushed out, and the government is also telling the Chinese that go back beyond finger 8, which is where you are supposed to be. Now that's a more assertive, confident government that is directing its military to do what is appropriate on ground. But let's take a step back and look at history, because history has a lot of lessons for us. In 2013, when Shyam Saran, who was then Foreign Secretary and Chairman of the National Security Advisory Board, went to Ladakh and came back and submitted a report, he said that the Chinese have taken over additional 640 square kilometer of area. There have been 600 incursions. Dr. Manmohan Singh did nothing. In fact, you had A.K. Antony, who was then the defense minister, come on the floor of the House and admit that not building infrastructure was a conscious strategy of the Congress party for all these decades, because they thought it would dissuade the invaders or the aggressors. You had a situation where the UPA foreign minister went to Beijing in the midst of this aggression and says he would love to live in Beijing.